Welcome to the Merick N H Ulrik podcast Midnight Review. Cleave and I interview sci-fi author Toney and review the classic movie Conan the Barbarian, and we listen to Guster, Ganging Up on the Sun, and give you our thoughts. Enjoy the podcast. All right, welcome everybody. We got Cleave Bourbon and Toney in the house today. And we're so happy to be here again. I changed my shirt, so I can see that I do have more than 3 shirts. And I even wore 2 shirts, so in case people wondered if I had more than 4, I have 5 shirts, so people know. Yeah, so we got a lot to talk about before we go into the midnight review of Conan the Barbarian from 1982 and Guster, Ganging Up on the Sun. We want to talk with science fiction fantasy author Toney. He's been going through a lot these days. He got bit by a poisonous snake, and then he got hit by a hurricane, but he's still standing. Or he's sitting right now, but he's here. And so we wanted to catch up with him, and we'll also want to talk about his Tales from the Galactic Rim. So Jay, how you doing, my friend? Are you doing all right?
Oh, I'm doing
That's
really
great.
good.
So nothing like a snake bite or a hurricane is going to take you out, eh?
Yeah, it takes quite a bit.
From now on, you shall be known as Snakebite Jay.
Snakebite Jay.
Snake killer.
Snake killer.
After several days of agonizing pain, the snake died.
Yeah, the worst part is I got bit probably on or about the 4th of September, and I thought it was an allergic reaction. I never saw the puncture wounds, never saw the snake, never heard the snake.
Maybe it was a small snake, perhaps.
Not from the distance of the fangs.
Wow.
It was probably between 4 and 6 foot.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're like...
I was fortunate that it was a shallow bite because it bit right over the shin bone.
Well, that's good, I guess. So,
from what I've read up as far as rattlesnake bites, they want you in an emergency room within 30 minutes. And you could probably go 1 to 2 days, but beyond that, you're talking about it could be fatal.
I'm glad you didn't lose your leg. That's another thing.
Yeah. I've always heard that it's like the pressure of the wound it's like getting hit with a ball-peen hammer. But
I've got neuropathies in all 4 limbs, so my legs are really numb, so I never felt the bite.
Oh.
Afterwards, my leg turned red, it swelled up, it turned a little bit black and blue.
Wow.
And I thought it was an allergic reaction.
Wow.
And when a pustule started forming, and we're talking about a large pustule the size of a jumbo chicken egg, I was thinking, well, okay, this is a hemotoxin venom, but what type of a spider would do this? This is beyond a brown recluse.
Man, I know some people got taken out by brown recluses. Those aren't no jokes either. So, but you're still alive. So, how long ago was the bite taking place? And is it recovering better now, or?
Yeah, it's doing much better. I want to say it was about the 4th of September, but I didn't see the doctor until the 10th of September.
Jeez.
So I was well beyond any.
Yeah. What could they do?
Well, he put me on antibiotics for 10 days. I asked him about the bite, and the first thing he said is, it's not spider, it's snake.
Wow.
And it didn't take long to figure out what type of a snake.
So it was a rattlesnake? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was definitely a rattlesnake, but I can't tell you whether it was a pygmy rattlesnake, an eastern diamondback, or a timber rattlesnake. The timber and eastern diamondback are more prevalent in my area.
Wow, that's crazy.
So, and then after that, y'all had a storm blow through. Y'all got how did that affect your livestock and everything you got going on there? Did it affect your riding any?
Not really. I've got a little bit of riding done this week.
You have power outage, or
I didn't lose power. Oh, no power outage. Winds were probably gusting up to about 35 miles an hour, and we got a little over probably about 1.25 inches of rain.
Okay, not too bad.
Fruit trees lost a lot of their leaves. That's about it.
How's the hens doing? Are they producing?
Not yet. They are just coming up on their 16th week, and One of the ends is matured. It's got the red cone and it's got the wattles, so we can start weighing any time. And I just switched them over from grower feed to layer feed.
That's good to know. So, also we want to talk about your book you got out, your science fiction. This is more. This is like a collection of books. You got Tales from the Galactic Rim. The cover looks really fantastic. This is the official launch starts October 1st, but we got you here before the official launch to talk about it. So what can we expect from Tales from the Galactic Rim?
Well, in 2023 and part of 2024, I wrote 17 short stories.
Cool.
One of the short stories that's in the book, The Oracle, was published in Savage Planets magazine, the October 2023 edition.
Cool.
One story that's excluded is A Dream, a Little Dream. It's excluded because Savage Planets magazine has first exclusive rights for publication and is contracted to be published in July of next year.
Gotcha. But this is how big of a bundle is this? Because you got how many stories you have in this one? This is a pretty big bundle.
I've got 16
Cool.
stories in it. You're familiar with two of them, Net Zero and Net 2.0.
Cool. Yeah, so this is a good collection. It's got a lot of good stories in this. A lot of science fiction, dystopian. I'm excited to have it. Excited for it to be out. We're excited to promote it on the show. I guess you don't have the Pirate Roberts on this one though, do you? That's a separate one.
No, that'll be something separate. I'll be doing that as a book collection or a box
Cool,
set.
cool, awesome.
How many books do you have out there, Jay?
Honestly, I don't know. I want to say 18 novels and probably about 6 novellas, a novelette,
He's very
16 short stories.
A lot of stuff out there then.
prolific
I got quite a big
prolific
catalog.
writer. So something I would like to tell you guys. I don't know if I didn't even mention this to Cleave yet, but so I have a Facebook group on Facebook, and I had named it the Merick N H Ulrik fans of fantasy and science fiction, but I thought it's really not inclusive, so I just changed the name to the Midnight Review for fans of science fiction, and fantasy and more. So basically, it's really for everyone to post their science fiction and fantasy stories, memes for movies they love, reviews. So it doesn't have to be limited to books or audiobooks, but it can also just be, sci-fi nerds and fantasy nerds getting on there and sharing their stuff or sharing what they enjoy or funny memes. So I changed the name, and I'm probably going to change the banner image here too. So because I feel like it should be for everybody. It's not. I don't have to have my name on the front of it, and I'd rather just do that so that like Jake, and you can post any of your releases. You're welcome to post them on there so people can see them. Maybe get a little more reach. It's a small group, but hopefully it'll grow. So
Sounds good.
I
You're welcome.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
That sounds
So
awesome.
so you're covering from the snake bite. You're releasing Tales from the Galactic Rim. Anything else new on the horizon that you're planning that maybe that you're thinking about writing or in the process of working on? Because I know you're always working on something.
Yeah, I'm working on Exiled from Earth. I think I'm on chapter 14 or halfway through chapter 14. So it's getting close to the
And,
end.
and what series is that in for people maybe who don't know yours? Because you have several series.
It's an
Okay, it's
independent
independent.
book.
Okay, cool. Exile from Earth. And where does this take place? Is it the near distant future, or is it like a long time in a galaxy far, far away, or is this like right now, or is it like in the next 200 years, or is it just like space opera far, far out there?
It's in the near future. It uses a lot of real world politics that are in it.
So do you write hard science fiction or space opera or both?
I write a lot. I write space opera. I write cyberpunk, space adventure, aliens.
Wow.
I do some hard sci-fi.
Nice.
Yeah, Jay's got a lot of stuff out there. I like his Net 2.0, net zero and Net Zero 2.0. They're kind of a dystopian fantasy in the or science fiction in the near future, with a lot of stuff that could be very, as you call it, believable in our time, with AI and player one type situations, and dystopian people who live in the metaverse, and who maybe don't even maybe the population might be on the down decline, for instance, because everybody's living in the metaverse, for one thing. So it's a very believable dystopian tale that you could actually, if you want to go down the rabbit hole of what could be happening, you could believe that. So it's, in a sense, that could be hard science fiction, I guess. So the net zero and net zero 2.0. Yeah, so that's in the bundle as well, right?
Yeah, both of those are in the bundle. As soon as I finish what I'm working on right now, I'm going to be serializing the Net Zero, Net 2.0
Cool.
books, and the next one in the series will be called Nasty Business.
Yeah, and so nasty stands for, if anybody who doesn't know, and I have a hard time memorizing this, but it's the. Can you tell us what the Nasty Corporation stands for, or is it?
Nexus Systems Advanced Technology
And
Incorporated.
they're a nasty company. Basically, they're the Google of the future. No, anyways, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but anyways,
Wow.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, well, they're a tech company or a
That
gaming
owns
company,
like
and
most
they're
of the
under
world,
contract.
basically.
Oh, no,
Okay.
they're not that prevalent, but well, they're contracted by two different things. The Eugenics Foundation, very, very similar to the Gates Foundation,
Okay.
and DARPA.
Yeah.
We have DARPA that's wanting to fight the next war in cyberspace. So you don't have the destruction, but you have the death. And that falls right in line with the Eugenics Foundation. So they're kind of double dipping.
The death without the destruction. It's a perfect utopian dream. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
And in these games, you die in cyberspace, you die for real.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to have to read some of your stuff. I haven't read anything yet. I'm going to have to grab some of it. What would you suggest that someone that like me, who's never read you before, what should I read first?
Are you what type of books do you like?
Well, I write science fiction fantasy myself, but I'm more fantasy oriented. So probably, I don't know, space opera probably.
Well, actually, the one that I just released, Tales from the Galactic Rim, will give you a taste of all the different genres that I write. And each story is fairly short, about 30 pages.
Yeah, so you get a good smattering of a lot of stories in one. I think it's a good opening for reading Jay. And so y'all heard it here first. Tales from the Galactic Rim by Toney. And I'll put some links in the description below so you guys can check that out. But it's got a variety of hard science fiction and dystopian fiction. I think you'll enjoy it. And as always, he's got a variety of good science fiction. That's my little push there, but it'll be in just look in the description below. You'll definitely find it.
Awesome.
Yeah, so Jay, we thanks you for coming on, man. Is there anything else we want to talk about before we go? Because we're going to move into the next segment, but we really thank you for coming on. Is anything else going on, Jay?
No, that's pretty much it.
All righty. Well, we're excited about it, and I'll probably review Tales from the Galactic Rim on my blog, and we'll have you some updates and stuff too. And if you want to learn more about Jay, I interviewed him on my podcast a few months back, and you can learn more about his history in the military and all kinds of cool stuff. This guy is a hard science fiction kind of geek too. Like, he knows a lot about flight and working on aircrafts and things like that. So pretty neat guy. I think you'll enjoy the Tales from the Galactic Rim if you like sci-fi and a variety of sci-fi. So yeah.
Cool. I'm looking forward to reading some of it.
Yeah, it should be great. Jay, well, thanks for coming on, man. You're always welcome. Jump on anytime we can get you on. And I'm glad you're doing good. I'm glad that snake bite didn't take you out, man. I guess it takes more than a rattlesnake to kill you or to take you out. Thank God. I appreciate that.
That's some scary stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I'm glad you're recovering. Everything going good on the recovery?
Yeah, just make my blood a little more toxic.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. You recovered. I guess maybe do you think you've ever been bitten before? Maybe you have some natural immunity or anything, or?
Well, I have to have some type of natural immunity, but I've never been bitten by a snake before. This is the
Yeah.
first.
Well, we're glad you're still with us, and I'm glad that you're, especially you didn't go to the doctor for 10 days. Thank God you're too tough to be killed, and we appreciate that. And
Yeah,
thanks for being a part of the
yeah.
science fiction community and the fantasy community on the group. Like we say, I always appreciate your comments and you sharing your stuff, and we love having you around, man.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you being out here with
That's
you.
good. Well, thanks for popping in, and we just want to tell everybody about the Tales from the Galactic Rim. It's already available, and you can get it on. There's going to be a link. So, Jay, by the way, this book is available on Amazon, but it's also available other places too, like like Kobo and Apple Books too. Is it?
Yeah, Kobo, Apple, Barnes and Noble, Smashwords.
Yeah, so you can pretty much get it anywhere, and it's all available all over the world. So, go grab it today. Check out Tales from the Galactic Rim, and yeah, I think you're gonna. If you like science fiction, go check it out. It's gonna be good. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take a break real quick, and then we'll come right back, and we want to get back into the midnight review of Conan the Barbarian and Guster ganging up on the sun. Thanks for coming on, Jay. We appreciate you, man. Stay
Thank you.
stay
All
healthy,
right.
all right,
Thank
bro.
you.
Bye.
All right.
Have
Bye.
you read The War Drums of Canth by Merick N H Ulrik, a high fantasy dwarven military fantasy? The War Drums of Canth. It's long been known that the Viclogs are the last stand of freedom in the land of Delantia, and the treachery of the Blood Queen. The dwarves settled the land long before she rose to power, but they were not the first inhabitants of the Viclogs. Orcians, trolls, kobolds, and even fouler creatures ruled the land. Only a dwarf would be obstinate enough to persist amongst such dangers. Now they face their greatest danger of all. Will they unite or perish? Before the tales of Vandrin the Valorian, and before the mighty drunken swordsman Gunnar Bannerbur, 1,000 years peace reigned in the Viclogs, but before that time of peace was 1,000 years of war. Dwarven clans warred against each other for power and control of the land. Political alliance and plots and old grudges from 800 years of feudalism keep the region in turmoil. But will a growing Orcian threat unite or destroy them? This is epic fantasy, military fantasy, high fantasy, and dark fantasy. The War Drums of Camp by Merick N H Ulrik. Now on Amazon Kindle, Amazon Kindle Unlimited. Have you read Red Mage Ascending, the Mage of Blood Magic, in the Tournament of Mages Book 1 by Cleave Bourbon? The servant girl has a secret, and she's hiding it in plain sight. Hannah works for a well-to-do family who treats her well, but something is not quite right. The servant girl doesn't act like a servant. She speaks with multiple languages, including High Elvish. She is a skilled musician and a talented artist. There is also another talent, but its secret Hannah guards closely. She can use blood magic. She is hiding because she knows if she is found out, she will have to fight in the Tournament of Mages, a contest where she will be pitted against 5 other mages with different forms of magic. She has left everything behind, her family, her friends, and the one secret she dares not reveal. Now available on Kindle, audiobooks on Audible, in hardcover and paperback. Find it online on Amazon Kindle, Barnes & Noble's, iBooks, Kobo, and wherever you buy good books. This book is by Cleave Bourbon. Buy it now. All right, we're back. Okay, we just got talking to Jay Toney, science fiction author, and he is the author of Tales from the Galactic Rim, and that's just one of many books that he has, but it's a collection of science fiction stories. So we're glad to have him on our podcast, and we're glad to see that he's doing better and he's up and around from that snake bite. But tonight, now we're going to talk about one of the most iconic movies of all time. I'm sorry, I don't want to build it up too much. But, really, in the world of science fiction and fantasy, there is only one Conan the Barbarian. And I don't know, I remember I couldn't watch this movie when I was a kid. My parents wouldn't let me because it was rated R. So I'm 46, so this movie I was young when this came out. So, but yeah. So Conan the Barbarian, and we got two things to celebrate about Conan the Barbarian, or we should memorialize because we have to preface this by saying we got to honor James Earl Jones, who died this month. So James Earl Jones passed away in September of 2024. So he played the role of Thulsa Doom, the villain in this movie. Also, he was Darth Vader's voice, as we all know. So James Earl Jones had a long career. I believe he was in his 90s.
Yeah,
So he lived a full life. But yeah, so this movie was one of his big roles as well. And so there's a lot of cool actors that were in this movie that maybe are lesser known but had some really cool roles. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, so reviewing this movie, we thought we do current movies sometimes, but this has got to be one of the all-time greatest fantasy movies of all times. Um, so there's no point in ranking this movie, in my opinion, because it's just classic. It's iconic. I mean, it was written by Oliver Stone, by the way. I thought that was kind
yeah,
of interesting. The guy who wrote
yeah. He
Platoon
co-wrote it. Well, I have
co-wrote it.
some
Yeah.
information about that in a moment.
Okay. Yeah. But I think, if my understanding was right, that the producer co-wrote it as well. But I think the reason why he co-wrote it was because Oliver Stone's version was going to be way too expensive, and they couldn't get the $40 million that he wanted to do it his way. And I believe that what was the name of the director? It starts with an M.
Milius, John
Milius is
Milius.
was known for he was known for his movies such as Dirty Harry, and he had a way. I think what they knew about him was he could bring a movie in at or under budget, and that was
Hmm.
like his big claim to fame. Besides that, he could do these gritty action movies,
Well,
in my
Oliver
opinion.
Stone's original script was set in the future in a post-apocalyptic Earth, and so they kind of went,
Uh
we don't want to do that. We want
yeah,
to let the
yeah,
source material. So
classic,
so they kept some of his
classic.
script in there, but they went back to the way it was supposed to be, and they didn't do the future
I'm glad they didn't.
post-apocalyptic.
I'm glad they. Yeah, because I mean, first of all, the first Conan the Barbarian movie needs to be just classic Conan the
Hmm.
Barbarian. Yeah, for sure. And I don't even want to talk about Conan the Destroyer, but me and my girlfriend were having a long discussion about that. But we'll just stick on topic. But what I thought was interesting about the Conan the Barbarian is that some of the movie scenes and some of the direction, they said that they based it on Frank Frazzetti's art. I didn't want to mispronounce his name. That's not his name. Did I say it right? That's probably not right.
I don't know.
Frank Frank Frazzetti. How do you say? He's one of the famous artists that portrayed Conan the Barbarian. And if you think about it, a lot of the scenes do Frank Frazetta's. A lot of the scenes are real iconic that look like some of his art. So I think that's
That is
pretty
cool.
cool. Yeah, because I mean, like even the not concert poster, the movie poster is like the Frank
The
Frazetta.
concert poster.
Frazetta. I say
That's
concert part. The
yeah.
movie poster, yeah. So but yeah, so I think it's really cool. It took a long time for them to make this movie because I think they pitched it in 1975 and it didn't get made till 1982.
82 it came
So
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
it took a little while.
Yep. It was. I saw this movie when it came out at a drive-in theater with my sister in a car, and the opening scene pretty much. I remember it kind of scarring me because I was what 11 maybe, and so I was thinking, where the village gets destroyed, and
Yeah, you were
I think
11.
I
Oh
was
my god.
around 11. And the thing about it is, when you see the actual movie, I didn't see it on like TV, like on Channel 4 or
Yeah,
something. I saw it.
where they edit a lot of the
Yeah, I
violence
saw it
out and
with the
everything
blood on
in
the
the sex.
snow and all the violence there, and I was like, whoa! And so, little Conan
Yeah,
holding his mom's hand, and then what his name Balsadoom? What'd you call him? Dulcidoom.
Thulsa Doom.
Balsadoom. I don't know where I got that.
Yeah,
When he spins around and cuts his mom's head off, and it shows him, and he's
yeah,
like holding his mom's hand, and it doesn't show it, but
yeah,
she's falling out of the screen. That pretty much
yeah.
scarred me.
Oh yeah, and it's so sad,
Yeah.
right? But by the way, I was talking to my girlfriend about this. Conan's mom was hot. She was
Yeah,
very pretty. Her name was okay. Her born name, the actress who played Conan's mom,
yeah.
by the way. We don't have any scientific evidence to know who actually is Conan's mom. Anyways, Roswitha Berstasha Smidhanskar. I just butchered that, but she was born in January 19th, 1952, and she was a former German model and actress who became well-known celebrity in Spain during the 1970s
Mm,
under the stage name Naduska.
wow.
Anyway, and so she was a Playboy model for one thing. So I mean, she was pretty hot. I'm just gonna say that. I don't know if I could say that for our listeners, but anyways, I just picked up on that immediately, and then I just did a little research to find out that's what she was. And you know what? She didn't have any speaking lines, so I don't know if she's a real fluent. But she was German and she was famous in Spain. So I don't
Huh.
know.
Wow.
Interesting.
I'm sure Arnold could talk to her, being
Yeah,
Austrian.
yeah, absolutely. You know, being the fact that you're right. This movie was made in the early 1980s. Do you feel like that time period they were open to making a more violent movie with more, because I don't even know if they could make this movie now because it would probably be called chauvinistic or something.
Mm,
I don't know. I don't know what would if a major movie company would make it now, but I mean, there's plenty of violence on TV, and even like with a movie that we just reviewed that was kind of silly, over the top violence, Boy Kills World, but this is a different kind of violence,
mm.
I guess.
Um,
Yeah.
they did remake this movie a few years ago
Oh
with
yeah, they did. Was it more or less violent or
I
stupid or?
don't remember. I watched it, but it was pretty forgettable because I don't remember hardly anything
Yeah,
about it. I just remember it having Aquaman in it. I can't think of his name right now.
I need to go back and research that because I did kind of barely remember seeing it, but it didn't stick for me. I really
Yeah, it
didn't. It
didn't.
did. I maybe because I love the original that I couldn't didn't
Yeah,
really
if it
stick
wasn't
for me.
Arnold, I mean, Arnold's a big buff. Conan. If you look at all the artwork, he's like the Conan side. Of course, the artwork does make him look more Conan the Barbarian, have more like darker hair and longer hair and stuff than Arnold. But Jason Momoa, that's who I was trying to think of. They had him as Conan,
Yeah.
and
So he Conan?
yep, he was
I didn't
Conan.
know that.
The I don't think they would. John Milius. If you've watched, I've watched a documentary on him before, and
Hmm.
he was around with all those other directors that came out at that time, Francis Ford Coppola and George Lucas and all that kind of stuff, and he was kind of one of them, and so he was known to be really true to the source material. And so, but yeah, I mean, I don't think that this movie would probably be made today. You're probably right.
Yeah. I thought something was very interesting because I've seen some Arnold Schwarzenegger documentaries and stuff. And so when Arnold Schwarzenegger, came to America, he wanted to be Mr. Universe. He wanted to be a famous bodybuilder. He wanted to be an actor. He wanted to be famous, and so he felt like bodybuilding was a way he could become famous or
Hmm.
whatever, according to the documentary that I saw or whatever he talked about. And so he was training all the time. Whatever, if you feel about Arnold Schwarzenegger, whether he used steroids, he said he didn't, but whatever, all that kind of stuff. But when he went to become an actor, the interviews that I saw was he said that he was after he was already Mr. Universe and everything, and he was on some movie Pumping Irons, and so he got him an agent and stuff. He started doing these casting things, and he was getting casted in, these thug roles or roles where he doesn't talk or anything. And the casting people would all tell him the same thing: you look freakishly big. You're not. Nobody's going to cast you as a leading man because you look freakishly huge. With the muscles, it's just you're never going to get casted as leading
Wow.
man. You're too freakish, Incredible Hulk. And the other thing they said to him is, your voice sounds robotic. You're never going to get a leading role. And then he said when they cast him for Conan, they said your body is perfect for Conan because you look, super muscular specimen, perfect for Conan. I mean, that one role that was perfect for
Hmm.
him. And then he said that after that, he tried a small movie, leading in a small movie. It was called The Terminator, and they said they liked him because his voice sounded robotic. So everything they said that was terrible about him worked out in his favor. So if everybody could be that
Yeah, I
lucky.
mean, if you're out there and you're an author or you're creative in some way, just remember that everyone that has something creative has been told at some point that they have no talent, they can't do it. Why would you do that? Do something else. And if everybody had listened to them, we would have no celebrities, we'd have no authors because everybody's been told that at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. And But it's just crazy that movie. To me, anyways, I think he was great in the movie. Some people make fun of his voice, as in the classic scenes, where he says, "What is great in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and
Imitation
hear the
of the women.
lamentation of the women." Yeah, that's a classic line, but he sounds like kind of a little German in there. But yeah, actually, the character Akiro the Wizard. I have a weird. It's not a claim to fame in any kind of ways, but I met the guy who played him one time when I was working in Dallas in 1996. I met him in passing. I didn't really get to
Mhm.
hang out and have dinner with him or anything, but I was working as a doorman at the Wyndham Anatole Hotel in Dallas, Texas, and they were filming. That's the time when they were filming that show. Walker, Texas
Mm.
Ranger. So they had a lot of actors coming in and out of there. And it's funny because I seen him, but I didn't know his name. His name is Makoto Iwatsu. And I've totally messed that up too. Makoto, or they call him Mako. Makoto. Anyways, I can't, I'm totally butchering his name, but Makoto. Anyway, so I met him, and all I could say was, "Hey, you're that guy on the movies." And all he did was he just was perfectly him. I tell you, I swear. And he was like, maybe so." And he smiled, and he was like, "Yeah," and he knew he was him. It was just totally him. So it was really cool. I really like that character, that actor. He's in a lot of movies. He's actually he's in Toro Toro Toro, and I just saw I'm talking about the old what's that movie? The old movie uh that war movie. We just saw it um, about the aircraft carriers, not Pearl Harbor, but the Battle Midway. We just saw it. He was on Battle of Midway. Of course, he played a Japanese officer. He's one of those smaller roles, but I can pick him out of a crowd. He's very noticeable. So he was on that movie too. A lot of movies. He was in a lot of movies, but he played the wizard guy who Conan meets out in the desert.
Yeah, Conan's kind of
So
scared of magic because he's a barbarian.
yeah, I love this movie because I feel like it was true to the Robert E. Howard theme of Conan. Conan's not like a sensitive kind of guy. He's not really in touch with his emotions at all,
No, he's a
and he
barbarian.
never was. Yeah, yeah. There's a line in the movie where his Sabutai, his friend and the thief that he befriends on the way to steal the eye of the serpent or whatever, the jewel, where they're doing their stuff. And when his spoiler alert, the movie's 42 years old, but Valeria dies in the movie. So God, I'm giving it away. But when Valeria dies, and I'm pretty sure it's called Valeria. That's why I'm reading it. But when she dies, Conan, they cremate her, and then the wizard asks Sabutai, "Why are you crying?" And he says, "He's Conan the Cimmerian. He won't cry, so I cry for him." I just like that. Yeah, it's a real. But yeah, you know what? My first meeting of Conan the Barbarian came from reading comic books, Marvel comic
Hmm.
books, and it wasn't even the early ones. It was the '90s comic books. So even before I even watched the movie, because I think I watched the movie the first time at a friend's house when I was spending the night at his house, and I was probably like 14 or 15, because my parents wouldn't let me watch R-rated movies. That's okay, it's good to have overprotective parents. I mean, the movie is pretty. It's rated R for a reason. They got all the right things to be rated R in it. I mean, if you wanted to make it a rated R movie, that will get you
Yeah,
rated R. Pretty much what they got in there.
yeah. I was exposed to the books and comic books probably in the '90s. There was a place I used to live in the Dallas Fort Worth area as well, and there's a place called Half Price Books, and
I
yeah,
love
and I
Half
would
Price
see
Books.
them quite a bit in there. And um, Robert Jordan, who wrote the Wheel of Time series, actually wrote some Conan.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
and so I
Wow.
picked up one of those, and I was like, "Oh, Robert Jordan wrote one of these."
I've started kind of researching this, and I think, man, I kind of would like to collect these comic books. They're really kind of nostalgic and cool. I mean, they're Pulp Fiction, but in the whole vein of Robert E. Howard, he was Pulp
Oh
Fiction. He
yeah,
was published on Weird Tales. He was like I would say he was the, how do you say it? It's not the cultural kind of books you want to be reading. It's more of just a fantasy, Pulp Fiction. It's what they probably publish on Kindle Vella today.
yeah, very
That's
much like H.P. Lovecraft published and all those guys. He was one of
yeah.
those H.P. Lovecraft and all those Pulp Fiction writers that wrote and wrote and wrote because they only got paid like peanuts for their writing. So the more they wrote, the
Yeah.
more money they'd make, and so they would just churn out stuff like crazy.
Yeah, I need to do that. I need to churn out
I
more
do
stuff.
too.
But he was but I will say that, Robert E. Howard, I watched a documentary on him. It was called, I don't know if it's a documentary, it's a movie. It's called The Whole Wide World,
Hmm.
I think. And it talks about him, and he had a really strange life.
Yep.
He ended his life
Yes.
tragically. And But he was very close to his mother when his mother was dying of cancer or some ailment, I believe. And so he lived very reclusively, just wrote, and he lived in a small Texas town not far from
Right.
you,
Yeah.
Cleve. He lived, I think, he lived in Abilene or Brownwood,
Yeah. I think it was Brownwood, maybe.
one of
Maybe
the
he lived in
two.
both, but
But
yeah,
yes,
he's from Texas. Yeah, from
yeah.
Texas.
So I don't know how long he wrote the Conan books, but they became classics, complete classics. So I feel like the movie Conan the Barbarian, as much as I can tell, was true to the Conan legacy. And I don't feel like Conan the Destroyer was as good a movie because, for one, I felt like they just didn't do the special effects good, and then they as good, and they did. It was a PG rating, so it really was maybe for made for a more general audience.
Yeah,
Um, they made some choices
Conan the
on that one.
Destroyer had Olivia Diabo. So
Oh
so
yeah,
I was
was she
no,
the
she was the
villain
little
or
princess
the
girl,
princess?
and I
Oh, she's
was so
beautiful.
in love with her all my
Me
life.
too. I was in love with her too. Yes,
So
yes, I was in love with her. And even when Conan turns her down at the end, you're like, dude, why? Come on, you could be
yeah, but
king and married
he's
her,
much
the
older. At the
princess.
time when I was thirsting after
Yeah.
her, I was about her age. So if people
Oh
are
yeah,
thinking it's
yeah. It was
creepy
okay.
because
It
she's a
was
little girl in the movie, I was that age
yeah.
then.
Right, right. In that movie though, it's funny because like there's some funny scenes with, and they still have that. We're talking about Conan the Destroyer now. Flipping over there, Akira the Wizard. They kept that. Meiko Iwatsu played that, continued that role. I guess they had a different thief in as his
Uh-huh.
buddy. So they didn't have Sabutai. They had somebody else, or they had somebody else playing Sabutai with somebody different. But of course, I don't know. Akira the Wizard and Sabutai, these are just characters they just created. I don't think they were classic to Conan the Barbarian comics or anything like that. They're just some characters they threw in
Yeah, I
there, I
think you're
believe.
right.
But yeah, I love the movie. I feel like it's all my all-time classics. I own it on uh Prime, and my girlfriend was like, "Well, why do you need to watch it? You can quote the whole movie." I was like, "Well, I need to refresh it. I need to refresh my
Because I bought it,
I
I
need to
must
refresh."
get my return on investment.
Yes, I mean, it's like I can put it on, like, say, if I just want to go to sleep or just when I just want to just chill and I don't really want to have to pay attention because I
Mhm.
already know everything. So, like, I'm not going to miss anything. I like to put it on sometimes. I have a ton of favorite quotes. Do you want to read
Sure,
some of them, or
go
you want
for
to
it.
talk for a minute? Okay, so one of my favorite quotes is, what was the actor who played the king? What was his name? The guy who played the king was a famous actor. Is Max von
Oh yeah,
Sydow. He you'll recognize his face. He plays in a lot of movies. He played in
he
150
was Ming the
films and
Merciless
television shows.
in the Flash
Yeah,
movie way back in the 70s or 80s, early
yeah.
80s.
He played villains. He played good characters. But he says one line, and I gotta hand it to the pros of the writing on this one. He says, and I'm gonna do it. Forgive me, but there comes a time when the jewels cease to sparkle, the gold loses its luster, and the throne room becomes a prison, and all that's left is a father's love for his child. I just love that line. It's just very, like it's like one of those iconic like things, situation. I feel like what I liked about Conan is they didn't try to make him into something he wasn't. I mean, he's wanting revenge, he's wanting glory, he's wanting all those things. He's not he's not the author. How do you say it? He's not the Arthurian White Knight, but he is Conan.
Yeah, yeah, he's wanting to be a thief. So yeah,
Yeah,
one of my favorite quotes is of course James Earl Jones when he's like, "Steel is
yeah.
not power," and he gets the girl. And he goes,
Oh yeah,
she jumps, and he's like, "That is power, power in the flesh."
yeah. That's great. And it's funny. It's I can imagine seeing this at a drive-through mirror. movie when you're like
Yeah,
11. That's got to be like so killer.
it was.
Uh, I must have been much older than 14 when I saw it at my friend's house because it was on VHS. So I must have been like 16 or 17. I don't remember. Um, I have a lot of quotes. Valeria, the character Valeria is this like Valkyrian woman who's
Mm.
like just a badass at the sword. She's this hot blonde who is just a warrior woman. She's a warrior woman. And yeah, this is going to sound a little sappy, but I love this line too, okay? When she's in the tent with Conan, she says, "I've never had so much." Anyway, I don't want to read the whole thing, but it's a very touching line. I thought I was like, she's talking to Conan. She said, "I've never had so much as now. All my life, I've been alone. Many times I faced death with no one to know. I would look into huts and tents of others in the coldest dark, and I'd see figures holding each other at the night. But I always passed by. You and I have warmth, so hard to find in this world. Please let someone else pass by in the night. Let us take the world by the throat and make it give us what we want, what us we desire, something like that. But I just love that line. Valeria has something. She has another one that I like. Is like when Conan dies and then she brings him back to life. She says, "All the gods they cannot sever us. If I were dead and you were still fighting for life, I'd come back from the darkness and back from the pit of hell and fight at your side." Anyways, it's really kind of over the top fantasy babble, but I like it.
Oh yeah, there's lots of memorable quotes, but Conan is one of those movies that I would put in the background too, like when I'm writing or something. I did that with
Yeah.
Indiana Jones. I did it with Conan. Sometimes
I
Star
like
Trek,
the
the movies.
I love the Star Trek 2 and 3 and 4 are
Yeah.
my favorite, but I love the soundtrack to Conan the Barbarian too. I
Oh,
could
the
listen to a lot.
soundtrack is
But
phenomenal.
yeah, I could put that in the background for writing, really get you in the mood. All right, I got another Thulsa Doom quote
Okay.
though. Thulsa Doom says, after they after they take the princess back and kill them, she kills some of their people. Says, "Infidel defilers, they shall all drown in lakes of blood. Now they will know why they are afraid of the dark. Now they will learn why they fear the night." I just love his over the top line. Of course, nobody could have said that line better than
James.
George Earl
James.
Jones.
Yeah.
James Earl Jones, not George Earl Jones. James Earl Jones. James, slip up. Yeah, James Earl
Yeah, it was
Jones.
incredible. But yeah, back to the soundtrack you were talking about. I don't know
Hmm.
how many role playing sessions we had when I was growing up, playing Dungeons and Dragons type games that we had Conan
Yeah,
playing in the background. So many.
yeah, it's just awesome. Yeah, I mean, I can put that on the background while we're playing BattleTech, even when I do get to play. But I just like the soundtrack. I put it on when I'm writing. It's really good.
Yeah,
I got one more. I
go
got
for
one
it.
more Conan the Barbarian quote, and it's, "Crom, I've never prayed to you before. I have no tongue for it. No one, not even you, will remember if we were good men or bad, why we fought or why we died. Now all that matters is that two stood against many. That's what's important. Valor pleases you, Crom, so grant me one request. Grant me revenge. And if you don't listen, then to hell with you." So I just that's probably it just sounds better when Arnold Schwarzenegger says it, but when Conan says it. But
Mm.
that's the Conan prayer. He's pretty direct and doesn't know how he doesn't have a tongue for it.
Yeah, that's it's great. I mean, yeah, like you said, it's an iconic movie. There's no doubt.
Yeah, yeah. So this movie turned 42 years this year because it was made in 1982, so it's 42 years old. Several of the actors that played in it are already passed on, but a lot of them are still alive. Some Sandal Bergman, she's 72 now, I believe. She played Valeria.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's 72, and I believe Arnold Schwarzenegger is 77, played Conan, and then the actor who played Akira the Wizard had passed on, I think, in 2006, and of course Max von
Sido or
um,
Cedo.
he Cito. I think he died, and maybe I'm not sure, but he's passed on
Yeah.
quite a ways too. So it's crazy that this movie's 42 years old because it just I remember watching it as a teenager, and it seemed like relevant. And they made this movie on $20 million.
Wow.
That's pretty low budget nowadays, and it made 80 million, 79 million worldwide. But I guarantee you, the DVD sales and streaming sales over the years has probably eclipsed that.
Oh
It
yeah.
has to.
Well,
Has
that's what
to.
set the
Right.
screen for or set the trail for Conan the Destroyer. because the first one did
Yeah,
well.
yeah. It's still sad we never saw Conan the King. You know, that would have been cool. But I mean, I would think that Arnold is past the days of doing a Conan movie. I hope to God he is, because I
It could
don't
be
want
Conan the
don't want to
King.
ruin.
Like,
Yeah, he could be, but I mean, but he would have to have some other plots. Yeah, he'd have to be an older,
yeah.
more of a king. Yeah, definitely.
Here's
Yeah, they
Conan
could probably do
Jr.
that.
No, I'm kidding.
Conan Jr. Yeah, who is going to be the new
Oh
guy?
gosh, that'd be
Well, anyways,
horrible.
yeah. Well, you have any other insights about the
I think
about
we've
Conan?
covered it. Other than giving
Yeah,
away the plot or
it,
anything, I think we've covered it. I mean, if you
yeah.
haven't seen it, go see it.
I
I
think
mean, it's around.
go
It's
see
on
it.
Netflix right now. Yeah.
Oh, it is. God, I didn't know. I just have it on Prime. So yeah, what I think they did the cult thing really well in Conan the Barbarian, because Thulsa Doom, to give away a plot, is he's kind of a
Oh
cult
yeah.
leader. He's got a bunch of cult followers, and what's always funny is that cult leaders are always telling their followers that they need to empty themselves of everything. You need to find nirvana and empty all your possessions. But the cult leader tends to get the possessions, so it's kind of like
The moral of the
so
story is don't join
it
a
seems.
cult.
No, but you know what? I have you seen that movie, The
Yeah.
Office? There's the show, The Office. It's funny. I like that guy. What's that guy's name? Who I forgot his name, but one of the characters, the funny character who's like always stealing stuff, and he said, I've been in a few cults. He's like, you have more fun as a follower, but you make more money as a leader.
True.
uh, anyways, you have more fun as a follower. I don't know. Well, anyways, guys, yeah, Conan the Barbarian's classic movie. Conan the Destroyer is pretty good. It's good. It's just I was kind of surprised to see that Oliver Stone wrote the original screenplay, but I guess maybe I didn't really think about it. They probably did change a lot about that. So, but it was a good movie, really good movie. So, it's a go-to movie. I can listen to it anytime.
Yep.
Um, so now let's shift gears. We're talking about Guster, Ganging Up on the Sun. Cleve brought this one up, and I hadn't listened to this one in a while. And maybe Cleve, talk about why you thought of Guster. I do love the album. It's a real chill. I like the song Satellite a lot. That's probably the one that stands out to most of me. But what how does Guster? How do you find out about Guster, or have you just always been a fan of the band? Or
Well, I hadn't been a fan of the band. I didn't know anything about them. And then around 2006, when this album came out, I was kind of getting
hmm
into the alternative scene. I was listening to some alternative music on XM satellite radio because I was teaching school in a high school, public high school, and I was driving an hour to the school and back. So I was listening to all that, and I think I might have heard it on there. But I do remember that I was watching Buster Keaton short films, like The General, just clips like on YouTube, and someone had played Sidelight or something in the background because it's Buster Keaton's silent film. So they played
yeah.
that, and I heard it, and I was like, "Who is this?" And so I started looking for it, and then I found the album, "Getting Up on the Sun." So, at the time, this was their latest album in 2006, 2007 ish when I discovered them. I'd
hmm
never listened to them before then, and so I listened to Satellite, and then I started listening to some other songs on the album, and then I ended up just getting the album because it was so good. And it's kind of funny because when I first started listening to them, I was thinking that it was alternative. I was thinking that they were just like a nobody band. Like I just discovered somebody
Oh yeah,
from something from nothing. And, I tried to ask some people, hey, have you ever heard of Guster? And they're like, who? No one ever heard of them.
yeah. But they're signed on a major label though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
and back in the
yeah.
day,
I mean, it was the satellite
and
was all over the place, the song. And
yeah, that I remember that song on the radio. But it was funny is because like when you said Guster, I didn't know who they were, because I guess that song played on the radio for a long time, and then it didn't play on the radio as
mhm.
much, and they still played every once in a
Oh,
while.
yeah. I've heard it every once in a while. I mean, the whole album is pretty,
Yeah,
pretty darn good. I mean, it is kind of chill,
it's really good,
and
very chill.
it's kind of in what made me think of it is when we did Elliott Smith last week, and I started
Yeah.
thinking, hey, this kind of reminds me a little bit of Guster.
Yeah, it also reminds me of Lord Huron, and I almost wondered if Lord Huron were big fans of Guster, because a lot of the songs and the style of it is just so chill. It reminds me of Lord Huron.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Maybe I'll have
Um,
to listen to that.
where are they from? Where are they from, anyways?
Um,
Guster.
I knew, but I don't know now. I can't put me on the spot. I don't know. I was thinking somewhere back east, but I'm not really sure.
hmm
I've seen them. I've gone on YouTube and I've seen them play. They played, and so the the late, okay, can't talk, the late night shows, like Jimmy
Mhm.
Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel or something. They played on there a couple, or maybe I saw them on David Letterman when he was still around. But um,
Yeah.
they've been featured, and you know, but I can't remember where they come from.
It's a great album. Well, they might be from Boston because it's
Sounds
like they won
good.
the Boston Music Awards in
That sounds like
2006.
could be true.
Yeah. Yeah. Possible truth there. Yeah, the band, are they still playing
Yep,
shows
they're
now?
still
Are they?
together, still playing. They just came out with a new album,
I would definitely
actually.
I would definitely want to hear that. But it's funny because I hadn't heard of them until, but then I remembered after we listened to that. I've been listening to the album all week, but I will say it is kind of real chill. So the songs that really stick out to me is Satellite. Well, that's the main one that stands out to me. Is Satellite. Um,
Manifest Destiny stands out to me quite a bit.
yeah,
One I thought you would really like is One Man Wrecking Machine.
yeah.
That's one I thought you'd like
Let me
because it's
play a
kind of
little.
you.
Let me play a little bit of it right now. It'll be in the background.
I was like, that's kind of you. One Man Wrecking Machine. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I could really be that. I've been told that I. Oh yeah, I do. I do like this song. Uh, I was so I can hear. Turn it up a little bit. Nope. Sorry. I did something wrong. Okay. Well, I know what. I'm not on my main YouTube channel, so I have. Turn it up a little bit so I can. It doesn't sound very loud. No, that's why I hadn't started.
There it is. I hear
There
it
we
now.
go. Can you hear
Yeah.
it
Oh
okay,
yeah.
or is it good? Yeah, I like this song too. I was talking to some friends of mine. We're gonna go see Willie Nelson in Beaumont in October, and I was listening to this band. And I was telling them it reminds me of hanging out with them because it makes me feel young when I listen to this album. It just makes me feel like hanging out, like I don't want to say in college, but just with
Yeah. It's kind of a sophisticated band. It's kind of like it would be a college
yeah,
band. Like you'd listen to it if you're in
yeah,
college, like on a college radio station.
yeah. It just seems like a I would if I had a friends that we just hung out and partied a little bit, not party, but just hung out and listened to music. I would like to have this in the background. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it's just chill music.
Yeah. Ruby Falls is another good one. The beginning of the end. That's a good one. Yeah. It's got,
Let's play. Let me try Ruby Falls. Let's see if it'll play. I might need to go to my other channel because I have a YouTube Premium account, but I'm logged in the wrong
mm.
one. But yeah, it's a great album. This is you bought this album back in the days when people bought
Yeah.
albums. Is that correct?
I have it somewhere on CD. I don't know where it's at. I've got on my other screen up here. I've got my Apple Music because I'm a subscriber to Apple Music now. But
Yeah,
I don't know where any of my CDs are nowadays.
yeah. I know. I have them in like a folder, but I don't. You know, I I hardly have play them
Yeah, but
anymore.
I stopped by like
Um,
a well, we used to have a place called Hastings Books and Records, which
Me
doesn't exist
too. Yeah, we
anymore.
used to do that.
I I
I
miss
missed
them,
that. That's what we used to
and
have.
I think I bought this album there in 2006.
Yeah. I found a lot of good music at Hastings. I remember that. So what's the one that you would talk
Ruby
about?
Falls.
Ruby Falls. Let me play that. Let me play Roof. It's a
Yeah,
slower
it's
song, starting off
slower. It's
slower. I swear sometimes just listening to music is better than talking about music. 100%.
yeah. Oh, you probably should play Satellite here in a minute too, since we talked about it already.
Yeah, we'll play that.
It's just
It is a very sophisticated
yeah.
album.
I mean, almost all the songs are great.
Very good harmonies.
Hmm. But
Yeah, it gets kicking up a little
yeah,
bit here. Yeah, so Guster is Adam Gardner on guitar, Ryan Miller on piano, Brian Rosenworcel on drums, and Luke Reynolds on guitar. So Adam's been with the band since 1991. Ryan's been with the band since 1991, and Brian, the drummer, has been with the band since 1991. It looks like Luke Reynolds has been with the band since 2010, and I guess Joe Pisapia. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. He's a former member, I guess, who was with the band until 2010. So I guess it's guitar, piano, drums, and guitar. I guess sometimes a piano player can fill that bass role. You know, they did that with was that the Doors did that?
uh, yes, I
Or if
think
I'm
so.
wrong.
And also, like on the song satellite, it has a really great bass line, so it's kind of surprising. Maybe one of the guitarists played
Yeah,
the
well,
bass or something.
maybe so, or they had a studio. I only see four players mentioned, unless they use guitar like liberally, like bass guitar. But usually they
Yeah,
say bass.
usually.
But
I've been learning how to play satellite, so it's a really great bass line. So I've been working on it, and it's fun to play, but it's pretty difficult. So it might be a guitarist
yeah,
because sometimes the guitarists make it a
could
little bit.
be
They kind of over bass things, if you know what I mean.
really. Well, I mean, Jimi Hendrix guitar bass player was a Jimi Hendrix bass player was a. Damn, what's going on here? It logged me out of my
Hmm.
YouTube. It gives a different one. So trying to play a
Ah,
commercial. So I'm just gonna hold on a second. I'm on the wrong channel. I have a. Anyways, well, we'll talk while that commercial's muted. So, yeah, Jimi Hendrix bass player was a famous guitar player.
oh yeah.
So, British guitar player. Let's hear Satellite real
Well,
quick.
my
I want
favorite
to play that
bassist,
one real quick.
probably one of my favorite bassists, is John Paul Jones, who actually
Oh
played a
yeah,
lot of instruments besides the bass.
he can
Oh
play
yeah,
anything.
keyboard.
Okay, that's Lightning Rod. But this is Satellite. It's probably their most well-known
Yeah,
song on this
people would
album.
probably
I may think
recognize it.
it's got that. So that right here is probably an organ. That's probably a piano player playing that hook. You hear the bass coming in, so obviously it's bass on the album. There's nothing around that. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of well, it kind of reminds me of Lord Huron, and there was another band I used to listen to a lot during the 2000s. Oh, what is the name of that band? I used to
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of the name of the. There was several bands that kind of had this groove, but this is a good song. I'd be curious to know like how far up the charts this song made it
Yeah, you can look that up.
because it looks like they are playing
Oh
places
yeah, they're
right
still
now.
together.
Well, looks like they played January. Is this February of 2025 tickets already? I don't know. But they're playing. It looks like on the East Coast. They're playing in Iowa, Pennsylvania, New York, Indianapolis.
I got my iPad here. I'll
So
look up the.
this looks like, unless that's from last year, but I don't know why it would be up there. But yeah, or this might be an old link. I don't know. I don't know. Well, I could be giving you misinformation. I don't know. But yeah, it's a great album. What was the other song we were talking about that you said that
Manifest Destiny.
Manifest? Let's play that one too.
I think it has a curse
So
word in it,
weird.
so you might be careful.
Well, I think we'll be okay.
I can't spell.
Yeah, so Cleve and I are both musicians. So Cleve plays bass, and he started out playing drums, and I play guitar and sing. But music is one of those things that just it's a. They say, and my girlfriend has worked a lot with the elderly, and they say that music is the last thing to go. People who play music and stuff. I'm just saying that music is something very close, deep inside the human mind, I believe.
Hmm. Yeah, it's one of those things that that's why one of the reasons we review music is because we're both musicians and love it.
Yeah. Okay. Manifest Destiny. Why am I not seeing that? I'm seeing. Oh, yeah, it's right here, right in my face. Let's play that one. Definitely piano
Yeah,
driven. I bet you the lead songwriter is a piano player.
probably.
Yeah, because Adam Gardner is mentioned for. No, that's a guitar player. Oh, who knows? Ryan Miller and Adam Gardner. I guess. Yeah, they're booking shows in January, but it looks like all the shows that I see of them are in on the East Coast. Yeah, it's got that real alternative pop rock kind of. It's very chill.
Yeah,
Kind of like what you would call the Beatles back in the day, kind of that part of it.
yeah, I can see that. And there's that piano, of course.
Yeah. You have a lot of melodies, got a lot of different things working together.
Okay, so it says that the satellite song is also featured in the 2007 film Martian Child. So it was on
Mm,
that.
not
That
familiar with that
I
movie,
think I
but
saw that and heard that song at that point. It said it received support from the U.S. alternative rock radio, but failed to chart on the modern rock tracks chart.
I could see that. So what did it chart on?
Um, alternative rock, of course.
Okay, but not much. They're more alternative, more or less heavy. They're just really melodic,
Yeah,
kind of chill music. I
the single
uh
would go on to earn
yeah.
the band its first gold record in 2018. So it's kind of a
Wow.
slow burner.
Yeah. In
Yeah, in 18.
2018. So yeah, so it took a little while. But yeah, it's the gold record that they've got a one more gold record than I
Yeah,
have
so
at
people
least.
would hear it and they'd go, "What is that?" Just kind of like I did, and
Yeah.
eventually got to the point where they were like, "Hey, this is great." And then, eventually they, like 10 years after it was released, it became a gold record. So apparently, it was a
Well, it's a great song. That whole album, you're right. The whole album, you can listen to it from top to bottom, and it's just very listenable. There wasn't like one track that I was like skip. You
yeah.
know,
And I've listened to some of
it's very
their
chill.
later albums, and they're good too. But I don't know this. I guess I just really love this
You feel like
album.
this is their peak, or this is the best one.
Well, it's
Your
my
favorite?
favorite. So I guess kind of like you were with XO.
Yeah, I mean, I like some of the other ones. I think XO is one of the first Elliott Smith albums I've heard. So maybe that's why I'm fond of that one too. Could just be
Yeah,
that.
true. But I guess again the same thing. This is the first Guster album I listened to, and I really liked, and so I
Hmm.
kind of measure all the other Guster albums to this one, I guess. And
Yeah.
so I really haven't listened to the new one. They've just released one. Let me see what we got here. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see when it was released. The new one is called Ooh La La, and it was released this year.
Was it okay? How do you spell it? Ooh la
It's
la or
OOHLALA, three words. Ooh La La. Oh la la. It was
let me
released May
see.
17th,
Well, well,
2024.
well, let's just sample it since we're here. We
Okay.
might as well. Let's just sample the first couple songs, tracks. See what you think about it. The video looks crazy. Looks sounds very mellow for
Yeah,
starters.
it was released May 17th, 2024.
We skipped our feet down Winter Street in fuzzy gold street light. We are not young, still need fun, twice in a lifetime. But your cup is full.
Sounds like there might be almost like a little ukulele in there, almost. I don't know. Could be wrong. Might just be a guitar.
Who's ever satisfied? Nothing's pure, something new.
It's kind of mellow. I don't want to judge it. I need to listen to the whole thing, but we're not going to be able to listen to the whole album on
Yeah,
here. So I'm just going to click through a few because we can't really listen to the whole album on the
right.
podcast. This song's a little more chill, a little more. This is
This kind of sounds like,
When We Were Stars is the name of this song. This kind of I'm already like digging it a little bit better than that last one just because that was kind of a slow build up. When We Were Stars by Guster. I like the intro to
this one
this.
sounds a little bit like Ganging Up
Very
on the Sun.
very 70s sounding, kind of like a funky.
Yeah,
That's
I like
cool.
it.
I'm gonna fast forward a little bit to it.
I'm gonna have to give this album a listen.
Yeah, it sounds really cool. This song does, anyways. Back when we were
Yeah,
stars.
I mean, I really like Guster. And like I said, they've had several albums
Yep.
since Gang Up on the Sun.
Here, we're just gonna click through a few of these real quick, and I'll
Okay,
go.
All
This
Day.
is all day. Yeah, turn it up. I turned it down a little bit. They're they're not they're very subtle on what they. I'd have to listen to this whole album and devour it because they have very subtle song
Yeah,
crafters. I'm gonna fast forward this a little bit. I mean, they just got a good rhythm section for sure. It's real groovy kind of sounding. Let's hear the next song real quick. My Kind.
I guess we're kind of reviewing Guster, not just the album, but the whole band.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, yeah, okay. Well, we got sidetracked a little bit, but that's off their latest album. All right, so we sampled that. So sorry.
I'm definitely
Yeah,
going to give that
sorry.
a listen
Went
because
off
I
a
haven't
little
listened to it
tangent.
yet.
Yeah, sorry, getting on
It
a
sounds
tangent there. But yeah, so Guster is still around. They're not just and they're still putting out music. So that's pretty cool to know. The whole Guster album, "Ganging Up in the Sun," is a great chill. It's worthy a listen. See if you want to put it on your playlist. I like it. I'll definitely be bringing it to my keg parties I do every week. I was kidding. Yep. But it's a good album. I really enjoy it. I liked it. Satellite's a great song too. I don't know if I was any other closing thoughts on that,
um,
Cleve, before I ramble
no, I
too
was
long?
going to say there's been several since Gang Up on the Sun. There's probably been like 4 or 5 albums that I've even listened to. So I
Yeah.
mean, Guster's give him a chance, especially Gang Up on the Sun. That's probably my favorite album so far. But
Yeah.
I haven't listened to the others, so I can't really say.
There's so much music out there, and a lot of times I hear people say like, "Oh, they don't make good music anymore." Well,
They
it's
do,
just kind of like what's played on the radio is pushed so much on us. Is that where it's like there's like 50 or 100 songs that are just pushed down our throats every year that are just like repeated all the time. So I feel like, and not to mention, when you listen to like FM radio, if when you're in a car or something, or even probably on whatever you listen to, uh, it's like people play what they already know is popular, so you're going to get a lot of the classic 90s rock, which we all love, but a lot of times it gets overplayed, or you're going to get some hits from way back in the 70s. You just hear them over and over. And then you're going to get really the top 40 that are the most popular
yeah,
stuff, and it gets pushed over and repeated. So I feel like you really you don't know there's a lot of good music that's out there. It's just not getting
right,
exposure because a lot of it's electronic. And I'm not saying anything against electronic stuff, but it does seem to be like nowadays a lot of like the most pop songs are sampled music and electronic, so that doesn't really require what these guys do. Obviously, play instruments and arrange songs with melodies and harmonies and things like that.
yeah. I feel like a lot of the top 40 maybe are maybe overproduced, like you're kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, I think people are almost used to it, so it's like expected. So that's the problem, I
Yeah,
guess.
the pure band, with the classic lineup, the bass rhythm, the bass drums and guitar and singer probably. That's why a while back on this podcast we reviewed the Warning, because they're one of those bands that
Yep,
are now, and they're three
yep.
piece, and they're kind of more traditional, but they're young
They're all
and they're all
playing
playing
instruments.
instruments,
Yeah,
but they're all
yep,
like around 20 years old. So
yeah.
so
Pretty
maybe someday
amazing. Pretty
they'll
amazing.
you know
Yep.
be huge.
Well, yeah. So that's a great album. I'm definitely gonna put it in my playlist in my rotation, and I'm actually gonna check out the
Me
new
too.
Guster album, "Ooh La La." Now that you said that, and I was like, "Oh, squirrel!" Sorry, had to take
Yeah, but I was too. I
had
was
to
I
go
was
off.
right there with you. Oh,
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, we're talking about Guster. Here Comes the Sun," and basically Guster the band, and the latest album is called "Ooh La La." All right, man. Well, it's been a great night. Enjoyed going down memory lane with Conan the Barbarian with you,
mhm.
and hearing from Toney earlier on the
Yep.
show. And so I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Please leave your comments in the description if we missed anything about Conan the Barbarian or about Guster. Here comes the ganging up on the sun. If we've missed anything about Ganging Up on the Sun by Guster or the band Guster, please just feel free to comment and let us know what you thought.
Please
And
do.
yeah, and I hope you like and subscribe to the channel and come back. We'll have a different show next week
Yep.
for sure. All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks, Cleve,
Sure.
for coming on. Appreciate you, bro.
No problem.
All righty, we'll talk to you later. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Merick N H Ulrik podcast. Please like and subscribe to this channel. We'll see you next week. Thank you.